We're always talking about detoxing our bodies, right? Like green smoothies, cutting out sugar, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But what about detoxing our brains?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
I know, right? It's not something you hear every day, but maybe it should be.
I think so, especially when we're starting to realize just how many toxins are actually building up in our brains.
That's what I find so crazy about this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know about microplastics, we know that they're a problem,
Right?
but I had no idea that our brains were accumulating so many more microplastics than other organs.
It's unbelievable, really. Some studies are showing up to 30 times more than the liver and kidneys.
30 times. That's wild. I mean, I knew microplastics were bad, but that's a whole other level.
It is, and the problem is these microplastics and, those forever chemicals, they're not just passing through our system,
Right.
they're actually building up over time. It's called bioaccumulation.
So it's like we're slowly becoming these walking plastic time bombs.
In a way, yeah. Some experts even estimate that the average person could have as much as 7 grams of plastic in their brain.
7 grams. That's crazy. Okay, before we totally freak out here, I need a little more info. Can you break down exactly what microplastics and forever chemicals are and how they're getting into our bodies in the first place?
Absolutely. So microplastics are basically tiny pieces of plastic, less than 5 millimeters in diameter. They come from larger plastic items that break down over time,
Right.
but also things like synthetic clothing fibers, car tires, even those microbeads they used to put in face washes.
Oh, yeah. I remember those.
Mhm.
I thought they were supposed to be good for, exfoliating.
Yeah,
But it turns out they were just polluting our water and ending up in our food.
exactly. And the worst part is they don't just disappear. They can last in the environment for hundreds, even thousands of years.
It's kind of terrifying when you think about it.
It is. Now, forever, chemicals, on the other hand, are a bit different. They're man-made chemicals that are extremely resistant to breaking down, hence the name forever. They're used in everything from non-stick cookware to firefighting foam.
So basically, we're ingesting and absorbing these microplastics and forever chemicals through the products we use, the food we eat, even the water we drink.
Pretty much. It's definitely a pervasive problem.
It seems there's no escape.
It's tough. And it's not just about what we're directly consuming either. You have to think about all the plastic packaging that ends up in landfills. As it degrades, it can leach into the soil and contaminate groundwater,
Oh, no.
which eventually makes its way back into our water supply.
That's a scary thought. It's kind of like this vicious cycle.
Exactly.
And I bet a lot of people assume that recycling solves the problem.
Oh, no.
Now, I used to feel pretty good about tossing my plastic bottles and containers in the recycling bin, thinking I was doing my part.
Yeah, recycling is important, but it's definitely not a perfect solution. The reality is only about 9% of plastic actually gets recycled.
9%? Seriously.
Yeah, the vast majority ends up in landfills, gets incinerated, or worse, ends up polluting our oceans.
So all those years of diligently washing and sorting my recyclables, I feel like I've been living a lie.
It's a common misconception. The truth is plastic recycling is a complex process, and we just don't have the infrastructure to handle the sheer volume of plastic we produce. And even when it is recycled, it often gets downcycled into lower quality materials.
Which just end up back in a landfill eventually.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've established that microplastics and forever chemicals are a big problem, and recycling isn't the magic solution we all thought it was. It's all pretty grim. Is there any hope? Can our bodies actually get rid of this stuff once it's inside us?
Well, thankfully, our bodies are pretty resilient. We do have mechanisms for eliminating toxins. And thankfully, our brains have this incredible cleaning system called the glymphatic system.
The what? The glymphatic system?
Yeah.
That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. What is that?
It's amazing. Imagine a network of microscopic channels and pathways running through your brain, constantly flushing out waste products. Like a dedicated cleaning crew for your brain working tirelessly to remove toxins and debris.
Wow, so our brains have their own little cleaning crew. That's pretty cool.
It is, and hopefully they're taking out some of those microplastics as well.
Fingers crossed. So how can we help this glymphatic system do its job? What can we do to make sure it's working at peak efficiency?
Well, the key is deep sleep. When we're in that deep restorative stage of sleep, the glymphatic system really kicks into gear, flushing out toxins much more effectively.
Oh, so it's like giving our brains a power wash while we sleep.
Exactly.
I like the sound of that. I'm all about a good brain power wash.
Right.
What else can we do to support our glymphatic system and help our brains detox?
Well, there's another powerful process called autophagy. It's like your body's internal recycling program where cells break down and remove damaged components and waste products. And guess what? Microplastics are on the menu.
Wait, autophagy? So you're telling me our bodies can actually break down and recycle these microplastics?
Yeah, Think of it like your body's way of decluttering and cleaning house on a cellular level. It's constantly identifying and removing damaged parts and cellular junk. And one of the best ways to stimulate autophagy is through fasting.
Fasting,
Yeah.
like not eating for a certain period of time. I've heard about the benefits of fasting, but I never knew it could help our bodies get rid of microplastics.
It's pretty remarkable. When you fast, your body starts running low on readily available energy from food.
Hmm.
So it shifts into conservation mode and starts looking for alternative fuel sources.
And those damaged cells and microplastics become the target.
Exactly. It's like giving your body a little nudge to clean up the mess.
I like it. So by fasting, we're basically forcing our bodies to clean up and get rid of those unwanted microplastics. But do we need to be fasting all the time to see benefits?
Not necessarily. You don't have to be constantly fasting to reap the benefits. Incorporating it into your routine a couple of times a week can make a huge difference.
So it's like a reset button for the body.
Exactly. It gives your system a chance to catch up and clean house.
I love it. Okay, so we've got deep sleep and strategic fasting as our dynamic duo for brain detox. Are there any other strategies we can use to help our bodies deal with these microplastics and forever chemicals?
Absolutely. Remember how we talked about these substances creating oxidative stress in the body?
Yeah, you compared it to rusting from the inside out.
Exactly. So another critical piece of the puzzle is supporting our body's natural antioxidant defenses.
Well, antioxidants like the stuff we get from blueberries and green tea.
Exactly. But there are also some more powerful antioxidants that can be particularly helpful in combating the damage caused by these substances. Things like NAC milk thistle and TKA.
Okay, those are good to know. And don't forget about sulfur-rich foods.
You got it.
Oh, sulfur-rich foods. I'm not sure I've ever really thought about my food in terms of its sulfur content. What are some good examples?
Garlic, onions, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, they're all packed with sulfur.
Oh, interesting.
And sulfur helps your body produce its own powerful antioxidant called glutathione.
Okay, so we're sleeping well. We're incorporating some fasting, loading up on antioxidants and sulfur-rich foods. This is starting to feel like a pretty solid plan.
It's a good start.
But I have a feeling we're just scratching the surface, right?
You're absolutely right. There's a lot more to this story. Next, we need to uncover some of the surprising, often hidden sources of plastic in our everyday lives.
Okay. Now this is where it gets really interesting. I'm all ears. What kind of sneaky plastics are lurking in our homes? Let's expose them.
You know, before we get to all those hidden plastic culprits, there's one essential step in detoxifying our brains and bodies that we need to talk about.
Okay. I'm filtering our water.
Right, water filters. I've heard they can remove all sorts of nasty stuff.
They can?
But do they really make a difference when it comes to microplastics and forever chemicals?
Absolutely. Especially if you're on city water, there's a good chance it contains at least trace amounts of these contaminants.
So a good water filter is like our first line of defense.
Exactly. It's an investment worth making. Okay. Water filter check. Now I'm ready for those everyday plastic culprits you mentioned. I have a feeling I'm going to be surprised by some of these.
You might be. Let's start in the kitchen.
Yeah.
One of the biggest offenders is actually plastic cutting boards.
Really? Plastic cutting boards. I would have never thought of that.
Yeah, it's one of those things we don't really think about, but every time you use a plastic cutting board, especially if you're a little rough with your knives, you create tiny grooves and scratches on the surface.
Right.
And those tiny crevices, they become perfect hiding spots for bacteria, and you guessed it, microplastics.
Ugh, that's not what I wanted to hear.
As you continue to use the board, those microplastics can then get transferred to your food.
Okay, I'm throwing out all my plastic cutting boards. What's a better option?
Wood or bamboo cutting boards are a great choice. They're naturally antimicrobial, and they're much less likely to harbor microplastics. Plus, they just look nice in the kitchen.
Yeah, they do look nice.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? What other hidden dangers are lurking in my kitchen?
Here's another one that might surprise you, dishwasher pods.
Dishwasher pods. What's wrong with them?
Well, a lot of them contain plastics that don't completely break down in the wash cycle,
Oh, no.
so they can end up on your dishes and ultimately in your food.
So we're essentially washing our dishes with plastic. Is hand washing the only way to avoid this?
Not necessarily. There are now eco-friendly dishwasher detergent options that are plastic-free.
Oh, good.
They usually come in powder or tablet form, and they're just as effective at cleaning your dishes. Just make sure to check the labels.
Okay, will do. What else should we be thinking about when it comes to the kitchen?
Let's talk about coffee. I know a lot of us rely on that morning cup to get going.
Oh, definitely guilty.
But conventional coffee filters, they often contain plastic fibers that can leach into your coffee as it brews.
Even my coffee isn't safe.
There are alternatives. You can get unbleached, biodegradable coffee filters.
Okay.
They're usually made from natural materials like bamboo or paper.
Okay, good to know. I'm all about those easy swaps. What about something like salt? I always thought sea salt was, natural and pure.
You would think so, right? But unfortunately, even sea salt can be contaminated with microplastics.
Seriously.
Our oceans are sadly full of plastic waste, and as that plastic breaks down, it can end up in the salt we harvest from the sea.
It feels like we can't escape it.
I know it's a lot, but there are things you can do. For example, you can look for salt that's harvested from ancient seabeds.
Ancient seabeds.
Yeah. These are salt deposits that formed millions of years ago, long before plastic pollution was a problem.
Okay, so old salt.
Exactly. It's a bit pricier, but worth considering.
Okay, I'll check it out. What about tea? Surely a soothing cup of tea is safe, right?
You'd think so, but many tea bags actually contain plastic. It helps them seal and keep their shape.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, and the problem is as you steep your tea, those microplastics can leach into your cup.
Ugh, so even my tea time isn't safe. It feels like everything I do is contributing to this microplastic problem.
I know it can feel that way, but the good news is there are alternatives. You can opt for loose leaf tea
Right.
and use a reusable strainer or one of those cute little tea infusers.
Yeah, I have a tea infuser somewhere. I'll have to dig that out. Okay, so loose leaf tea check. What other unexpected sources of plastic should we be aware of? Should we move on to the bathroom?
The bathroom is definitely another hot spot for hidden plastics. One that often gets overlooked is dental floss.
Dental floss. Never thought about that. What's wrong with regular floss?
Well, a lot of flosses are coated with a thin layer of plastic that can fragment and get stuck between your teeth.
You're kidding.
Nope. And those tiny pieces can contribute to the microplastic buildup in your body.
So all this time I've been flossing with plastic. Are you serious? What am I supposed to use instead?
There are flosses made from silk, bamboo, or other natural materials.
Okay, I had no idea.
They're just as effective at cleaning between your teeth and much better for the environment.
Okay, bamboo floss it is.
Mm.
What else should I be on the lookout for in the bathroom?
Another big one is conventional tampons. They often contain plastic in the applicator and sometimes even in the absorbent material itself.
Wow, I had no idea.
Huh.
So what's the solution?
Thankfully, there are now some great options for 100% organic cotton tampons.
Okay, good to know. What about toothbrushes? I'm guessing those plastic bristles are a problem too?
You guessed it. Most conventional toothbrushes are made from plastic, and those bristles can break off and go down the drain, potentially ending up in our waterways.
Ugh, it's a never-ending cycle. Isn't there a better way?
There is. Bamboo toothbrushes are a great alternative. They're biodegradable, naturally antimicrobial, and just as effective at cleaning your teeth.
I actually have a bamboo toothbrush. I bought it because I liked the way it looked, but I had no idea it was actually a healthier choice.
It is. What other everyday items are we missing?
Let's see. Oh, what about those cans that everything comes in? I always thought they were just metal.
Most cans are actually lined with a thin layer of plastic. It's supposed to prevent the metal from corroding and leaching into the food. But that plastic lining can contain BPA and other harmful chemicals that can leach into your food.
So what are we supposed to do to stop buying canned food altogether?
Well, that's one way to minimize your exposure. Opting for fresh or frozen fruits and vegetables is always a good choice.
Right.
And when it comes to beverages, try to look for glass bottles or cartons whenever possible.
Got it. Okay, so what about baby bottles? I feel like those are always plastic.
You're right, a lot of baby bottles are made from plastic, but there are safer alternatives available. Glass bottles are a great option.
Okay.
And for nipples, look for ones made from 100% silicone. They're more durable than latex and don't contain those harmful chemicals.
Silicone it is. What other common kitchen items should we be reconsidering?
What about those plastic water bottles? We all use them, but they can leach chemicals into your water, especially if they're exposed to heat or sunlight.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
So are we all supposed to start carrying around those heavy glass water bottles?
Not necessarily. Stainless steel water bottles are a great alternative. They're lightweight, durable, and they don't leach chemicals into your drinks.
I love my stainless steel water bottle. I take it everywhere.
Yeah.
What about those sponges that we use to wash dishes? Those have to be contributing to the problem, right?
Unfortunately, yes. Every time you scrub with a plastic sponge, tiny bits of plastic break off and go down the drain, ending up in our waterways and eventually back in our food.
So are we supposed to go back to using rags or something?
You don't have to go that far. There are actually some really great plastic-free sponges made from natural materials like loofah bamboo or coconut fibers.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
They're just as effective at cleaning
Yeah.
and much better for the environment.
Okay, I'm definitely going to look for some of those. What about cookware? I have a whole set of non-stick pots and pans. Those are fine, right?
Non-stick cookware is often coated with Teflon, which is a type of forever chemical.
Hmm, I didn't know that.
And when it's heated to high temperatures, it can release harmful fumes that can be toxic to humans and pets.
Oh, wow, I had no idea. So what are we supposed to use?
There are lots of great alternatives. Cast iron is fantastic, it's durable, and can last a lifetime. Stainless steel and ceramic cookware are also excellent choices.
Okay, I can work with that. What about all those plastic containers I use for storing leftovers? Are those a problem too?
Plastic containers can leach chemicals into your food, especially if they're heated in the microwave.
Right.
Glass containers are a much safer option for storing food.
Okay, glass containers. I'm starting to realize how much plastic is actually in my house.
It's definitely eye-opening. But the good news is, now that you're aware of it, you can start making conscious choices to reduce your exposure.
I'm already making a list.
And remember, it's not about being perfect. Every little change helps.
Progress, not perfection. I like that. So what's the most important takeaway here? What do you want listeners to remember from all of this?
I think it's amazing how many things we just do every day without even thinking about, the potential consequences.
Yeah, like total autopilot.
Totally. We're so used to convenience and what's considered, normal that we don't really question the impact of our choices.
It's true, and this deep dive has definitely made me rethink some things that I've been doing on autopilot for years. I'm already making a mental list of things I need to change in my own life.
It's great to be aware of it, right? Knowledge is power.
It is. And it feels good to be able to take control. Now that we've given our listeners all this information about microplastics and forever chemicals and how to detoxify, what's the one thing you hope they take away from this deep dive?
I think the biggest thing is awareness. Once we understand the hidden dangers that are all around us, we can start making informed choices.
Right. So it's not about being perfect. It's about being informed.
Exactly. Every little step counts.
I love that. So to wrap things up, what's the challenge you want to leave our listeners with today?
Well, I would say think about your daily routine. Now that you know about all these hidden sources of plastic, what's one small change you can make to reduce your exposure? Maybe it's swapping out your plastic cutting board for a wooden one. Or finally investing in a good water filter. Every little bit helps.
That's a great challenge. I'm excited to hear what changes our listeners make. Be sure to share your thoughts and tips in the comments below. We love hearing from you. And of course, if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more fascinating episodes. We're always exploring new topics and diving deep into the latest research. So until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep those brains sparkling clean.